Life is a tapestry woven with threads of joy and sorrow, triumph and disappointment. Disappointment, an inevitable part of the human experience, can leave us feeling heartbroken, disillusioned, and lost. It can strain relationships, erode trust, and cast a long shadow over our lives. However, it is in these moments of vulnerability and adversity that we discover our true character. How we navigate disappointment, how we rise from the ashes of unmet expectations, reveals our resilience, compassion, and capacity for growth. Disappointment is not a destination but a detour, a bend in the road that forces us to reevaluate our path, learn from our mistakes, and emerge stronger on the other side. It is an opportunity to cultivate empathy, to understand the profound impact our actions can have on others, and to build bridges of reconciliation. In the words of the poet Khalil Gibran, "Out of suffering have emerged the strongest souls, the most massive characters are seared with scars." The memory of the day I broke my promise to my younger brother Ethan remains etched in my mind, a stark reminder of the importance of honoring our commitments. It was a sunny afternoon, and the air was filled with the scent of blooming flowers. I remember Ethan's face, his eyes sparkling with excitement as he talked about our upcoming camping trip. We had been planning it for weeks, mapping out trails, packing our gear, and dreaming of the adventures we would have in the great outdoors. The promise I made to him was not just about the trip, it was about the bond we shared, the trust he placed in me as his older sibling. I had always been his role model, the one he looked up to, and this trip was a testament to that bond. Ethan, with his infectious laughter and boundless energy, had been eagerly anticipating a camping trip we had planned for weeks. He had packed and repacked his backpack multiple times, making sure he had everything he needed. His excitement was palpable and it was contagious. I found myself looking forward to the trip just as much as he was. I had promised him an adventure, a chance to escape the confines of our suburban life and immerse ourselves in the wonders of nature. We had talked about the stars we would see, the stories we would tell around the campfire, and the memories we would create. It was supposed to be a weekend of bonding, away from the distractions of everyday life. The day before our departure, however, an unexpected opportunity arose. My phone rang, and on the other end was my best friend Mark. His voice was filled with excitement, and I could hear the thrill in his tone. Mark had managed to secure tickets to a sold-out concert, an event we had both been longing to attend. It was a band we had followed for years, and the chance to see them live was something we had always dreamed of. The excitement in his voice was infectious, and for a moment, I was swept up in the thrill of it all. He had managed to secure tickets to a sold-out concert, an event we had both been longing to attend. The tickets were like golden tickets to a world of music and memories, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that seemed too good to pass up. The conflict was immediate and intense. I felt a knot in my stomach as I realized the dilemma I was in. On one hand, there was the promise I had made to Ethan, a promise that meant the world to him. On the other hand, there was the concert, an event that I had been dreaming of for years. The weight of the decision pressed down on me and I felt torn between two worlds. I was torn between my promise to Ethan and the allure of an unforgettable experience with my friend. The more I thought about it, the more conflicted I became. I knew that breaking my promise to Ethan would hurt him deeply, but the thought of missing out on the concert was equally painful. It felt like I was standing at a crossroads, with no clear path to take. In the end, selfishness triumphed over responsibility. I convinced myself that Ethan, young and resilient, would understand. I told myself that he would bounce back, that we could always go camping another time, but deep down, I knew I was making a choice that would hurt him. I convinced myself that Ethan, young and resilient, would understand. I rationalized that the concert was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, a chance I couldn't let slip away. I told myself that he would forgive me, that he would understand why I had to break my promise. But as I looked into his eyes, I saw the disappointment and hurt that my decision had caused. I rationalized that the concert was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, a chance I couldn't let slip away. The excitement of the concert, the thrill of seeing my favorite band live, clouded my judgment. I was blinded by my own desires, and in that moment, I chose the concert over my brother. Blinded by my own desires, I broke my promise, telling Ethan that something urgent had come up, that our camping trip would have to be postponed. I could hear the disappointment in his voice, and it broke my heart. I knew I had let him down, and the guilt weighed heavily on me, that our camping trip would have to be postponed. As I packed away the camping gear, I felt a deep sense of regret. The deflated tent and the canceled trip marked on the calendar were stark reminders of the promise I had broken. I knew that I had let Ethan down, and it was a mistake I would never forget. Ethan's reaction was like a punch to the gut. It was as if the world had stopped spinning for a moment, and all the air had been sucked out of the room. The look on his face was something I would never forget. The light in his eyes, usually bright with anticipation, dimmed instantly, replaced by a look of shock and disbelief. It was as if someone had flipped a switch, turning off the joy and replacing it with a deep, profound sadness. His small shoulders slumped, and his lower lip trembled slightly as he struggled to process my words. He looked so vulnerable, so heartbroken, that it made my own heart ache. I could see the tears welling up in his eyes, threatening to spill over at any moment. "But you promised," he whispered, his voice barely audible. Those 3 words cut through me like a knife. They were filled with so much pain and disappointment that it was almost unbearable to hear. I had made a promise to him and I had broken it. Shame washed over me, hot and suffocating. It was a feeling I couldn't escape, no matter how much I wanted to. I had let him down in the worst possible way, and there was no way to undo the damage I had caused. I had betrayed his trust, shattered his excitement, and for what? A concert? It seemed so trivial now, so insignificant compared to the hurt I had caused him. I had been selfish, thinking only of my own desires and not considering how my actions would affect him. The weight of my selfishness pressed down on me, heavy and inescapable. It was a burden I would carry with me for a long time, a constant reminder of my failure. I had always prided myself on being a good brother, but in that moment, I felt like anything but. In that moment, I would have given anything to take back my words, to see the smile return to Ethan's face. I wanted to make it right, to find a way to undo the hurt I had caused, but I knew it wasn't that simple. Trust, once broken, is not easily repaired, but it was too late. The damage was done. Time seemed to slow down as I watched him, feeling helpless and full of regret. I wished I could turn back the clock, go back to the moment before I had spoken those words and choose a different path. I had inflicted a wound, not physical but emotional, and its depth was immeasurable. It was a wound that would take time to heal, and I wasn't sure if it ever truly would. The pain in his eyes was a reflection of the pain in my own heart. I had always prided myself on being a good brother, a role model for Ethan, but in that instant, I felt like a fraud, a hypocrite who had failed to live up to his own standards. I had always told him to be honest, to keep his promises, and yet here I was, breaking my own advice. The realization was a bitter pill to swallow. I reached out to him wanting to offer some comfort, but he pulled away. The distance between us felt like a chasm, wide and unbridgeable. I could see the hurt in his eyes, and it mirrored the guilt and regret in my own. As I sat there reflecting on my actions, I realized that this moment would be a turning point for both of us. It was a painful lesson, but one that I needed to learn. I had to be better, not just for myself, but for Ethan. He deserved a brother he could look up to, someone who would always be there for him no matter what. I made a silent vow to myself that day. I would do everything in my power to make it up to him, to rebuild the trust I had broken. It wouldn't be easy and it would take time, but I was determined to make things right, for Ethan and for myself. Slowly I reached out to him again, this time with a promise of change. I told him I was sorry, truly sorry, and that I would do better. It was a small step, but it was a start. And as he hesitated, then finally accepted my hug, I felt a glimmer of hope. It was a long road ahead, but I was ready to walk it, one step at a time. I knew I had to do something, anything, to repair the rift I had created. The weight of my actions hung heavily on my shoulders, and the thought of losing Ethan's trust forever was unbearable. I spent countless nights lying awake, replaying the events in my mind, wondering how I could have been so careless. It was clear that a simple apology wouldn't suffice. I needed to demonstrate my remorse through actions, not just words. I decided to start by writing a heartfelt letter, pouring out my feelings and acknowledging the depth of my transgression. I explained to Ethan that I understood why he was upset, that I had made a mistake, a big one, and that I was truly sorry. But words alone wouldn't be enough. I needed to show him that I was committed to making things right. So I sat down with Ethan and had a serious conversation. I looked him in the eyes and told him how much he meant to me, how much I regretted my actions, and how I was willing to do whatever it took to earn back his trust. I could see the hurt in his eyes, and it broke my heart to know that I was the cause of it. I then proposed an alternative outing, something special, just the two of us. I wanted to create new memories, ones that would help overshadow the pain I had caused. I suggested we go on a hike to our favorite spot, a place where we had shared many happy moments in the past. I hoped that being in a familiar and comforting environment would help us reconnect. Ethan, still hurting, remained skeptical. I could see the doubt in his eyes, the hesitation in his voice. He wasn't sure if he could trust me again, and I couldn't blame him. Trust, once broken, is not easily mended. But I was determined to prove to him that I was sincere in my efforts. His initial enthusiasm had waned, replaced by a quiet resignation. I didn't blame him. I had let him down, and it was going to take more than just words to make things right. I knew that rebuilding his trust would be a long and arduous journey, one that required patience, consistency, and unwavering commitment. I had broken his trust, and rebuilding it would take time, patience, and a consistent effort on my part. I resolved to be there for him, to show him through my actions that I was truly sorry, and that I was willing to put in the work to make amends. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I was determined to try. Over the next few weeks, I made a concerted effort to spend quality time with Ethan. We did things that he enjoyed, activities that would bring us closer together. We went to the movies, played mini golf, and even attempted, with hilarious results, to build a treehouse in our backyard. Each moment spent together was a step towards healing, a chance to rebuild the bond that had been damaged. We went to the movies, played mini golf, and even attempted, with hilarious results, to build a treehouse in our backyard. The laughter and shared experiences helped to slowly mend the rift between us. It wasn't just about having fun, it was about showing Ethan that I was committed to making things right, that I valued our relationship and was willing to put in the effort to repair it. The treehouse project in particular was a turning point. As we worked together, we laughed at our mistakes and celebrated our small victories. It was a reminder that even in the midst of trying times, there could be moments of joy and connection. Slowly, gradually, Ethan began to warm up to me again. Slowly, gradually, Ethan began to warm up to me again. The laughter returned to his eyes, though it was tinged with a newfound cautiousness, a reminder of the fragility of trust. I knew that we still had a long way to go, but seeing him smile again gave me hope. It was a sign that my efforts were making a difference, that there was a chance for us to rebuild what had been broken. The laughter returned to his eyes, though it was tinged with a newfound cautiousness, a reminder of the fragility of trust. I knew that we still had a long way to go, but seeing him smile again gave me hope. It was a sign that my efforts were making a difference, that there was a chance for us to rebuild what had been broken. I was committed to continuing this journey, to proving to Ethan that I was worthy of his trust, and that our relationship was worth fighting for.